was into it. But, so with Chinese medicine, there's this concept of qi energy. It's spelled Qi, but pronounced qi. And this qi energy flows around in meridians, and it's energy that flows through the fascia. I'm going to talk more about this in a minute. And that's a fairly recent discovery. When we in the West started learning about Oriental medicine, which really didn't happen until the 1970s, it actually happened at a specific time when Nixon opened our relationship with China again, so we could actually have conversations with them. The Chinese medicine doctors wanted to know about Western medicine, and we were interested in Eastern medicine. And they kept referring to this qi energy. But they would describe it as things like, well, it's your life force, it's your spirit. And us Western medicine people were like, we don't know how to use that, you know. And so it seemed a little bit obscure. And so it wasn't until recently that qi energy we've defined, we know what it is. It's actually electromagnetic energy, just like what runs in your nerves. But the difference is that it's much, it's not nearly as intense. It's much milder form of electricity, but it also flows in the fascia, okay? And the fascia is the tissue, it's a connective tissue that you find under the skin and other places, but it's that, if you've ever skinned an animal or pulled the skin off of a chicken even, it's that white webby stuff, okay? Not the fat, but that white webby stuff that's underneath your skin. And I'll tell you, when I went to paramedic school for 2 years, and nursing school for 2 years, and veterinary school for 4 years, I learned that fascia is nothing more than Velcro that holds your skin on, okay? But it's way more than that. Fascia is interesting because it's one of 3 tissues that can create an electrical impulse when you stimulate it. The other 2 are your nerves. So again, if you stick your finger in that flame and pull it back, you're creating an electrical impulse which sends a signal to pull your finger back before you burst into flames, okay? And so all of your nervous tissue can create its own electrical impulses when you stimulate it. That's a good thing, it's how it works. The other tissue that can create its own electrical impulses is the cardiac tissue, your heart tissue. That's sort of important. If you get bonked on the noggin and knocked out, you don't want your heart stopping because your brain can't tell it what to do. You want your heart to be able to just do what it normally does and keep on beating, okay? That's sort of important. So the nervous tissue, including your brain and your heart, create their own electrical impulses when they need to. Fascia does the same thing. Now to me, that's a really important group for just this connective tissue that holds your skin on, you know? So what else does fascia do? Well, fascia lines all of your body. Under all of your skin you'll find fascia, but it also lines every single body cavity. It lines every nerve, every blood vessel, every organ, and it's all connected together, okay? So you've got this network now of tissue that lines every important structure in your body and creates impulses when you stimulate it. Makes it kind of interesting. So when we put acupuncture needles in or do lots of other things, stretching, yoga, massage, things like that stimulate the fascia, we're creating electrical impulses that can affect all different parts of your body. And so the way that works is that this this chi energy is what that energy is flowing in the fascia, and it flows in meridians. And I use the term meridians and channels interchangeably. And I think of it not so much as electrical wires, but more like a river. And so you've got this chi energy flowing through these meridians, and the meridians connect end for end. For example, in people, the lung meridian, and they're named after the organ systems. Okay, the lung meridian starts in your lungs, where we can't really manipulate it in there very easily. You don't really want to stick needles into your lungs, but it comes out under the surface. Okay, this is that skin fascia, or subcutaneous fascia. That lung meridian comes out in people just below your collarbone, comes down, running under your skin, and ends here at your on the inside of your thumb. Okay, that's where it ends. The next one starts here and moves up to your face. It ends here. Next one starts here, goes all the way down, ends in your toe. Next one next to that comes back up, ends in your chest again. So each of these meridians are connected end for end, and they have an internal component and an external component. We can manipulate all those external components with our acupuncture needles, okay? And what we can do with those needles, depending on which points we use and how we use them, what needles we put in where, we can make energy flow better or focus energy to certain organ systems. We can slow it down, speed it up, whatever we need to do to restore balance. Again, remember, everything that comes down to balance. That's what we're trying to do. So when we were talking about 5 elements with your dog and where the deficits were, that's how we can use acupuncture needles to manipulate how the energy flows through these meridians. And the energy should be flowing continually. Again, think of a river. But if it gets stuck, let's say there's a log jam, that river isn't flowing the way it's supposed to. The same thing happens with this chi energy, and we call that chi stagnation. By far the biggest thing I see here in the clinic is chi stagnation. And when that happens, the energy isn't flowing the way it's supposed to. That creates, in some cases, pain. That can create dysfunction, so things don't flow the way they're supposed to. Systems don't work how they're supposed to. And so one of the things, for example, that we can do with needles is break up that stagnation so the energy starts flowing again. And then with your dog, we'll see how she responds to that, and she should do very well. The chi is married to the blood. We call these essential fluids in Chinese medicine. So the blood is exactly what we think of in Western medicine. It's that red stuff that flows through your veins. But from a Chinese medicine perspective, it's more than that. It's not just the substance of the blood, it's actually what it does. It's the function of the blood. So nourishing the cells. The chi and the blood are married together because you need chi energy to make the blood flow, but you need blood to carry the chi energy to all parts of the body too. So they're dependent upon each other. Okay, and so that's Chinese, or the chi and the blood. I'm going to explain one more concept here, and then we're going to move on to something else, and that is the concept of how you can have excess energy and deficiency in energy. Okay. And the way I like to describe that is this way. If everything is in balance, let's say this is yang energy, and this is yin energy, and they're in balance with each other, or they're normal, that's great. You're going to be pretty healthy in this situation, okay? But if for some reason we have too much yang energy and not enough yin energy, they don't balance each other the way they're supposed to, Then we have what we call a yang excess. Pretty simple, straightforward. There's too much yang, okay? And that puts you out of balance and creates a problem. On the other hand, if there's a deficiency, let's say there's not enough yang energy, okay, then we have a balance or an imbalance in the other direction. Okay, so that would be a deficient pattern. Okay, again, that's pretty easy to understand. Sometimes though, we can have what we call a false imbalance. So if we're looking at an animal and it looks like it has too much yang energy, okay, it could be true. We may have too much yang energy, all right? But sometimes those symptoms are because there's not enough of the other one, okay? So in this case, if we had a yin deficiency, but it's showing yang signs, like they're too hot, they're too anxious, too wound up, those will be all yang signs, but they're exhibiting those not because there's too much yang, but because there's too little yin, okay? So they're displaying yang signs, but it's actually a deficiency of the yin. So we call this false yang, okay? That makes more sense as you get down. And one example of this would be if we have an older dog, and we see this a lot, and some of this might be happening with your dog too, where they're a pretty yang dog most of their life, and all is going good, but as they get older and run into problems, this air conditioner doesn't work anymore. And so the yin starts to get weaker and weaker, and so they start to display more and more yang signs. But it's not that they're gaining more yang, it's just that the imbalance is showing the yang because the yin, which should balance it out, isn't working anymore. Okay? So that's about all I want to talk about with Chinese medicine at the moment. So we'll start to talk